Welcome everyone to another episode of the LorePod Podcast. I'm your host, Dakota Martin, coming to you from Phoenix, Arizona. And today we're going to be talking about a certain video game called The Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds 2 is coming to Game Pass and video games here very soon here. And I played a little bit of the first one, and I do have to dive back into it, I will admit. Loved it though from what I played. But today we're going to be talking about The Outer Worlds, a spacefaring adventure that feels like the 1940s in space. And today we're going to be talking about what is the lore and the history, and how the hell did this world become to be? We're about to find out on this episode. Let's dive in, shall we? Of course, The Outer Worlds is a alternate future, but it was also designed by Obsidian Entertainment, who also did Fallout New Vegas. It is a single-player RPG, and it is a choice game, meaning the dialogue, the choices you decide to do as a character in there, all dependent on the story you get and how people perceive you in the game, a la Skyrim, Fallout, all the games like that. Now, in an alternate future, in 1901, U.S. President William McKinley was not assassinated. Now, a little bit of U.S. history here for you. Right after that, Roosevelt would have become president, but when Roosevelt became president, he enacted some good laws here. The corporate trust here, and it went that there was regulations against corporations from owning everything, anti-monopolies and such like that too. I mean, today's world, is that a thing? Is it not? We're still fucking deciding, I think. But Roosevelt put it in there about the anti-monopoly laws, but without him in charge, companies were able to control all monopolies and were called mega corporations. Now, corporations did control society and people at this point, even in the outer worlds as well, which you do find, where you in a society are based on the job title that you have and the level. So that determines where you go and what you do in your whole entire life. Makes for a lot of less freedoms and such like that. So, aka the corporations are like, well, you're this and you're this forever. Congratulations, you were born into it. An absolute hell, one might say. Now, 10 mega corporations during this time did form into the Board, aka a Bowsing's Holding Corporation. We're just going to go by the Board. Now, the Board did buy the rights to the Halcyon system and began colonizing for their own interest, and they can basically do whatever the hell they want in this whole star system. They wanted their version, though, the Board did, because of course this is basically the fucking Illuminati, wanted their own version of a utopia controlled by the Board, of course themselves, because why not? Now, during this time, though, we are played as the Stranger, and why this comes into play is, well, the Stranger is one of many people sent to colonize this new star system by the Board. And, of course, during this time, he's transported on a colony ship called the Hope. Now, in space travel, usually it's called slip space. But in this version, and as well as storyline, it is called skip space. So that's what I mean by that. Basically the same thing as a slip space. Now, the Hope ship that we talked about, where you, the character, basically arrives at a skip space too early before their destination and goes on a drift into space. It arrives in 2355, well after colonization, just a tad few years after everything has been set up, buildings built, towns made, all the shit like that, and that's when they do arrive. Now, the Stranger is awoken from cryosleep by a man named Phineas Wells, who is a scientist, and from there the adventure begins. But in this world, though, we do have 2 main planets as well as a few other side planets to explore, check it out, do side missions, and all your favorite fucking gaming things you're able to go do it in. One of the 2 planets is named Monarch. It was the first planet the Board tried to terraform, but it failed. Because, you're going to when you first start. But they kind of affected the local wildlife and made everything triply fucking dangerous and almost a terrible place to live where you couldn't really survive. But the joke's on them because people do actually live there and do survive, despite the superbly harsh conditions. But of course, the Board saw no profit in there, so they abandoned it. The next one was named Terra 2, probably after Terra Nova, and that is the Board's main base of operations, because this place was very successful in the terraforming of the planets. Because when you try to terraform a planet, you got a 50-50 shot, I think, right? Because of course. All right, everybody, that's been a little bit of the Outer Worlds, and what you need to know about the prequel, well, the background of the storylines you're about to play. Outer Worlds 2 is coming soon on video game consoles and PC. Pretty damn soon here. So be sure to play it. I think it's coming free on Game Pass, so be sure to check it out. Of course, as always, I've been your host, Dakota Morgan, coming to you from Phoenix, Arizona. My social media is going to be in the description box down below for X, Instagram, and my Twitch. Of course, as always, everybody, be sure to subscribe and leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts, because holy shit, there are shit ton of podcasts. But I want to say, I've been podcasting for the past 10 years, well before it became super popular. All right, everybody, and as always, stay creative.